Okay. Alright. Okay, first of all, um, looks like my YouTube days may be just about over. I'm having trouble. My numbers on where I pick it up on my phone are all blocked. And my numbers are all blocked. In other words, I don't get it when I put out a video. I don't get any feedback. It just gives you the same number, and the same number will be there for 3 weeks at a time. And so I don't have any way of knowing. I have 2 songs I thought about taking to Nashville, and I can't take them there because I don't know what my numbers are. I don't know if anybody listened to them because my numbers are all frozen. And I don't know why they're frozen, why they're freezing them. But all I can see is probably, possibly try to Facebook or something else, or just quit. I'll probably just quit. Yeah, I haven't been long enough anyway, and I might not having much success with it. But I can't even use YouTube to tell what my numbers are. So they keep blocking them, and I don't know why they're blocking them. And I know it's Google doing it. I think it's Google doing it. At first I thought it was a service provider. I think it's Google doing it, but I'll put on a video, and then it'll say, I'll have 3 days later it'll say 1 view. 4 days later, 1 view. Then all of a sudden 100 comes in 10 seconds. Well, now they got my whole channel's blocked. Anyway, and so my days at YouTube are probably about over. I said something about last week about the Simi Valley lobby. I've been thinking about it since then. And the Simi Valley lobby is probably a pretty good lobby because one thing, there's several reasons. First of all, to make a case for it, it's a high-tech lobby. But they say that Fox News and the Google seem to be at odds. Fox News and the high-tech, I don't know why. But Fox News was ragging on them, like they always are. Tucker Carlson, whatever his name is, was ragging on them. There's a reason, for one thing, it gives you jobs, for one thing, and there's nothing wrong with lobbying for a contract. The second thing is the majority supports a high-tech wall. The majority doesn't want a physical barrier. Physical barriers probably work better. I think they do. They've made a pretty strong case, Trump has. But he's made his case, 3 or 4 times, and the public still doesn't. They want a high-tech barrier, even though it's catch and release. The public still wants a high-tech barrier. They don't want a big wall down there. So I guess I'd have to say I side in with them, and there's nothing wrong. It's jobs. There's nothing wrong with lobbying for your company to get a contract, and that helps the public. You get jobs, everything else, even though it's catch and release. So I've changed my opinion on that, but what that's worth, I don't know. But anyway, my opinion is not worth an awful lot because I don't get any hits. Okay, the other thing, what's her name? Sanders and Cortez needs to do. I doubt she ever listens to this, but I wouldn't do it good anyway. But just to be funny, what she needs to do, she needs to go down to the border, stand right in front of it, that border wall, and say, Mr. Trump, tear down this wall. I bet you get a bunch of attention. And put it on YouTube, like with her other stuff. Okay, and the other thing I was going to say, they're talking about, the socialists and everything. Whether socialism, capitalism, better. The main thing is the government's not addressing an awful lot of problems. And that lady that brought up just recently, Omar, her name's Omar, that brought up about, she's talking about, and you can tell, where the media's screwed up and where the government's screwed up. When Omar brought up, she said, the reason they always go along with Israel most of the time is because of some lobby, a Jewish lobby. And that's probably why the Palestinian question doesn't get handled. But you notice that Sanders is Jewish himself, and he was complaining about the way he didn't like the way Israel is treating the Palestinians. Well, that's probably why. She made a good point. And it went right over Laura Ingraham, on Fox News, went right over her head. And she was slamming, and then a Jewish lady got in there, and she said she was tired of that lobby always representing the Jewish race. She said when most Jewish people don't even agree with them. Well, that just shows how and they were trying to say that she was anti-Semitic. But she's anti-Semitic because she's criticizing the campaign finance system and how it screws everybody. They get in there with that campaign money. They're like a puppet. They do everything for that one group to the detriment of the rest of the Jewish people, to the detriment of the Palestinians, the Jewish people that are living here. They're giving them a bad name, like the Jewish lady said, and she rolled her eyes at Laura Ingraham, and I thought, well, I see why she rolled her eyes. Laura Ingraham was an idiot. I mean, it went right over her head. And then, what else? She brought up this thing about Ocasio-Cortez and the high-speed rail, what a boondoggle it is. Actually, it's the lobbies that are keeping that high-speed rail out of there. And I agree with Ocasio-Cortez. We need high-speed rail, and but it's technological advancement that keeps us ahead of China. In technological advancement, you have high-speed rail or whatever you're doing, anything that's high-tech, that's advanced in one way or another, it leads to technological advancement in other ways. And if you've got a lobby and campaign money that are taking competition out, it slows down technological advancement. It's the incentive to advance, and the competition is what keeps us ahead of China and Russia, and that's part of the problem. And that went right over Laura's head too. How much does Fox News get? Most of the time, nothing. Okay, what else did they bring up last time that went over Laura's head? Anyway, talking about the Virginia problem, okay, with this guy that's in blackface. There are a few black people that came out, I thought were pretty smart, and came out and pointed out they're better off with that with that Democrat in there with a blackface problem than they would be with a Republican. Look, Virginia is a state, that's just the tip of the iceberg with Virginia. Virginia has a whole lot of problems, a lot worse than the blackface. I mean, they're as bad. I mean, they're detrimental to society. A whole lot of other things are wrong with it. And I heard, that for a long time, Virginia's got, there are 3 states I stay out of. I don't even drive through because they have corrupt legal systems. They're unjust. Arizona's another one, too. Add to the list. They have unjust legal systems, police that are out of control. It's like going through Central America or somewhere. And Virginia's another one that's like that. And I heard Virginia was turning purple. They keep arguing I was turning purple. Anything Virginia needs is a purple state. And any Democrat you get in there better keep them, because that's what's wrong with Virginia. They've had, how many things have been wrong? Well, I don't know, one thing, they have judges in that state. I mean, it's just wicked. They'll have judges in the state. They'll throw people in jail just on 2 people arguing in a road rage, and they don't, without a trial. The judges will throw them in jail. They have police that'll pull people's licenses because they irritate the police and make them mad. If you have a camera and you film the police, they'll take your camera. They had a $3,500 speeding ticket for a while, and they pulled it out because people that drove through didn't have to pay it, just the ones that lived there, and they pulled that out. They have a problem with their police. They had somebody tried to buy beer and they shoved his head on the sidewalk. There's no other state where if you try to buy beer and you're underage, they're going to shove your head in the sidewalk. These are limited authority police. Virginia, I mean, you don't need another Republican in that state. Believe me, they're better off, and a lot of black people said the same thing. They're better off with that Democrat in there. And if they want to shove him out, it better be the people shoving him out, not the government. Okay, other thing besides Virginia. Okay, what else? Okay, socialism's better than... Okay, now people... Trump gets on there and he argues, oh, we don't want socialism. But look, Trump, you're leaving out some stuff. You're not quite telling the whole story. What about the fact, how much have you done? How much is our standard... like Ocasio-Cortez said, everybody's working 3 jobs. People are living in their car in California. People living in tent cities in California. People can't feed their kids, like she said. You want Amazon coming in New York with a bunch of jobs that pay minimum wage and shoving out a bunch of other competition so that you don't have the other competition in there that's paying a fair wage. She made a good point. And Trump didn't bring this out. Look, there's several things Trump hasn't done. Until we have the same standard of living for the working class that we had in 1958. Back then, it's like I say, my dad was an engineer for Boeing. He had 3 farms, a car, 3 farms, 2 cars, a house paid for, and I'm not sure it was paid for. He had a house, 3 farms and a car, and 1 man working. Like I say, nowadays you have 2 people working. The same engineer has a condo and his wife works. And the ones below that, and the trade unions, they also argue trade unions. What they don't tell you though. I mean, we had people working at Boeing back in the 60s, and They'd have to take they had to get an old car out of the junkyard, drive to work, because the strikebreakers stand out their big old baseball bat and bash in their car when they drove in. They complained those damn trade unions. But what these people did not realize, my dad and the other engineers, if you don't have trade unions, not only does the working class get screwed, but they're screwed themselves. Because they're not making now what they did back then. And if we had trade union strength and we had the campaign finance system hadn't been in there, we still have that same standard of living we had back then. So Casey Cortez is right. I mean, there's a lot more we've got to do. Capitalism works better than socialism, but until they get that back, until they get it back the way it was in 1958, we need shove socialism down their throat till they fix it. I mean, that's the way I look at it. If they don't want socialism, then tell Trump to straighten things out. He doesn't have trade union strength back. We don't have a one-man vote with a campaign finance system. We don't have their medical prices, affordable health care the way it was in 58, and that's the reason why. You need antitrust laws on hospitals. That's one thing, of course, they stopped that in 45. They need to get it back. That's something we need right now. Antitrust laws on hospitals, and they can't ask you if you have insurance. They got to work on you one way or the other, and the reason they don't have that rule is because the campaign finance system stops them. And we need to stop the copyrights on drugs. No copyrights on drugs, and Canadian drugs more accessible to people in the United States. Where you get these prices down, where I say Canada would be buying drugs from us and coming to our hospitals instead of us going over there, which makes us more wealth in the country, and that's what the capitalist system is supposed to work. Competition, incentive, technological advancement, strong ratio of imports and exports. Yeah, that means more wealth in the country, stronger economy. And so you don't even really have, like I say, we got crony capitalism. We don't have a capitalist system anymore now anyway. So socialism is better than the crony capitalism we have right now. Corrupt capitalism, which isn't real capitalism. So until Trump, unless he fixes all those things, we might as well have socialism. That's why I support the socialists right now, because no one's doing a damn thing about the campaign finance system. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, non-traditional treatments, whatever else. More competition, stopping hospital mergers, and more antitrust laws everywhere. Steve Elton brought that out last night. We need antitrust laws on the Amazon company, and that's what Ocasio-Cortez should have brought out too. Okay, what else am I going to talk about? Okay, there's several things Ocasio-Cortez said we needed, and one thing, we need high-speed rail. What does high-speed rail do? It creates competition and nothing else, so it keeps prices down. Keeps the airline prices down for one thing, but mainly it's technological advancement. The more you advance, if lobbyists are stopping technological advancement, then they're keeping us. China is going to be ahead of us. It's a minus anyway. If you don't have, the less technological advancement you have, the more China gets ahead. If you don't advance, and if there's a lobby that's stopping the production of electric cars or the sales of electric cars, which they are, they had a Cadillac. You look at the cars nowadays; they're all ugly and they're all too. Like back in the 60s, when they started making these cars, all look like boxes. They're all real ugly. They don't have any style. And I pushed it off this ice on the pavement, and so I pushed it off the curb because I went up on the curb and put a big old dent in the back of it. So I opened the trunk and started shoving my fist on the other side of it inside the trunk and pound the dent out. You couldn't do that in the 60s. Well, if we had electric cars, Neil Young had an electric Lincoln. Of course, it burned up. But like he said, but if you get more electric cars and you get rid of the lobbies that stop the sales of them, which we should be doing, and that's what Ocasio-Cortez is talking about, you'd have a car that didn't do that, and you could make a big car again with a big car ride like we had in the 60s. And all Neil Young has to do is figure out why the car burned up, or, well, whoever that produces them. And we could have a great big Cadillac that runs on electricity. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the Seattle monorail. I mean, Laura Ingraham didn't bring out too. I mean, the Seattle monorail. That's kind of more of a high tech thing, but that's why you had the lobby. Like I said in the last report, if you have a lobby that supports asphalt paving, they keep the monorail out. You have a big traffic jam. Seattle needs to get a monorail. Ocasio-Cortez didn't bring that out. She missed that. Okay, and This may be my last report unless my numbers change on YouTube. They aren't giving me my numbers right. Unless that changes, this may be the last thing I do on YouTube. But anyway, thanks for watching.